Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. AP, you'll be glad to know that we're back in Alabama again, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and also Abundant Television found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com and everybody's favorite radio station, even folks in Alabama listen to this one, WZLA. They're 92.9 FM on the dial right here in Abbeville, North Carolina, or South Carolina. But again, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. Continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com, Donna@donnasedge.com. North Carolina's on my mind. I'm just telling you. Heard from a bunch of my friends in Charlotte, North Carolina, who've been talking about the Panthers. And so next show, we got to talk about the Panthers. Everybody's going
okay.
Them. Steadham is with me right now. He's our talk show guru, especially when it comes to sports, and been with us a number of years. What's going on in sports right now, AP?
Yeah, we had the SEC Women's Championship for the league played this past weekend, and the Texas Longhorns were victorious, beating South Carolina 78-61. Donna, I actually saw them play in Las Vegas, a 2-point game won by Texas. It was a great ball game in November around Thanksgiving. So those two teams have played, I guess, 3 times. So it's 2-1 in favor of Texas. Texas wins the championship for the SEC on the women's side. Texas is rated number 3, South Carolina number 4. Texas is 31-3, South Carolina 31-3. But anyway, that happened over this weekend. They took command of the game, and they won, like I said, 78-61, that's an impressive score to beat a team like South Carolina, who's right behind them in the polls at number 4, Texas number 3. So the women are getting ready for the NCAA tournament. We have the SEC Men's Championship for the league will be played this week, and that'll culminate on Sunday. And then you'll have the selection of the men's and the women's in the next over the weekend here coming up. So it's an exciting time getting ready for March Madness on the men's side and the women's side. And the SEC, the women's side probably have, I guess maybe 10 teams or so, and the men about the same. I think the only question mark, I believe in the SEC is really if Auburn, who's on the proverbial bubble at 16-15, can they win a game or two to solidify a spot in the NCAA tournament, which could happen. We don't know. But Alabama and Auburn on the men's side played this weekend. Alabama won the game. They took a commanding lead, 25 points or so, and won at Tuscaloosa. So they swept Auburn Tigers this year in men's basketball.
Oh, well, it looks like it. This has been a rough year for Auburn.
It has, yeah. Like I say, 15 losses. I don't think anybody projected them to have that many. And so, like I said, they have some work to do in this SEC tournament. Maybe they can stay alive by keep winning a game or two and reach the NCAA tournament, earn a berth.
Who's your top 5?
Well, the top 5 in men's basketball, Donna, we have Duke at number 1, 29-2. The poll just came out. Arizona number 2 at 29-2. Michigan number 3 at 29-2. Florida, Donna, jumped up. They're moving up that poll. Number 4, 25-6, and Houston at 26-5. And then the teams from the SEC in the poll: number 15, Alabama, 23-8. Number 17, Arkansas, 23-8. Vanderbilt, 24-7 at number 22. Number 25, Tennessee, 21-10. And 2 teams receiving votes for the top 25. Georgia received 10 votes, and Missouri received 2.
Big variances there.
Yeah, big variance. So yeah, like I said, the SEC, if they can get 10 teams in, that's another great year for the league. They had that record-setting year last year, 14, which they set the record by 3 teams. The record was 11, I think, by the Big East around 2010, something like that. I believe it was, yeah.
Okay, let's talk Alabama and Auburn. And we know what Auburn's got to do. So let's just talk Alabama, just to get them up to the next standard. What do they need to do?
Yeah, Alabama, defensively, Donna, we know they can score a lot of points. They're one of the top teams scoring points. It's always on the defensive side for this year's edition of Alabama. Can they play just enough defense? Because we know normally they score quite a few points. So defensively, can they play a little bit better? And we know that the tournament, Donna, once you make the NCAA tournament, it's 3 weekends of trying to win 2 games. So that's your task. And then in the SEC tournament, that's played in Nashville. You get a couple of buys if you're some of the top teams. So I don't think it's important for Alabama or anybody in the league to win the championship. It'd be nice. Of course, it'd be great for Auburn because that would give them an automatic bid. The winner of the SEC tournament receives an automatic bid. But it's a team like Auburn or somebody else who's way below the top 10 teams that they can win. That'd be an automatic bid, and that'd be an extra bonus for the league. So, but of the top teams, I don't think there's anybody that is required to win the SEC championship this weekend in Nashville.
Do you feel like it could still be anybody's game, though?
Well, Florida's a hot team, Donna. It just depends if they're motivated to win this league championship. I think they'll be very difficult. If they're highly motivated and they're excited about winning a league championship, it means something to them as a school. Todd Golden's the coach. He won the championship last year, national championship. Does it mean something for them to win that league championship? Some coaches, Donna, believe it or not, they'd rather have their team lose early and go home and get rested for the NCAA tournament.
I never thought about it that way. Let's talk about coaches. Who have you had your eyes on all this season?
Yeah, well, this season, Donna, Todd Golden, he won that national championship, and he's doing very well. The top of the list for the SEC. Can he get back to the Final Four? Can you see that program building a dynasty? And when I say dynasty, I mean making the Final Four on a regular basis. So, the coach of Florida, I would say you're looking at him to see what he can do the next year after winning a national championship, I would say.
Yeah. And coaches are in high demand, but let me ask you about players now. We're getting again to the portal again, where you can, leave a game. Is that happening as much in basketball as it is in football?
Yeah, in basketball, Donna, it's funny you asked that question. When we meet in October for the SEC Basketball Media Day for the men and the women, some coaches, Donna, they might have anywhere from 7 to 10 new players. So you can't even project at that point because they have not seen their team compete. A whole new team. So, yeah, basketball is really fluid.
Well, and then too, there's so many games, many more games in basketball. Would it really make as big a driving difference in basketball than it does in football?
Well, that football, Donna, they keep getting more games with these playoffs situations. So, like I said, I'm fine with 12 teams in the college football playoff, but they're discussing 16, possibly 24. That's more games involved, and you're in harm's way. And football's a violent sport. It's a crash sport. Basketball is a contact sport. Football, it's collision sport. So I don't like to see as many games, but college basketball, they end up playing about 40 games if you win the championship, something like that, Donna. So there's quite a few in basketball. So you have to utilize your entire roster. I think it's beneficial to you because let's face it, they're all on scholarship. You brought them in for some reason or another. Give them a chance because you might need them in one game where everybody is cold, they can't make a shot, and you put somebody in there who's got a little bit of experience, and if they don't, it's a wasted substitution. So you want to have some experience from your bench. So I always like to use a lot of players in basketball as well as football.
Let's talk women's basketball for a bit because it's growing. I'm just telling, there was a time they didn't have an audience. Now it's beginning to be an overflow.
Oh, yeah, they're doing very well, the women's audience. Let's go over to the top 5 down. We have UConn at number 1, 33-0, UCLA 31-1. And I saw their only loss. It was in that tournament in Las Vegas. I saw them get beat in Las Vegas. Texas 31-3, as we said, won the SEC championship this weekend. South Carolina 31-3, LSU 27-5, Vanderbilt 27-4. At number 6, Oklahoma number 10, 23-6, Kentucky number 16, 23-10, Ole Miss 23-11 at number 19, and Georgia 24 at 22-9, and then Alabama received 47 votes. So that's 8 teams in the top 25, Donna, for women's basketball.
That's notable right there. Let's talk coaches for a few minutes before we go into the break. It'll be about 2 minutes. Yeah. Right. Because I will tell you, I'm overwhelmed at what these coaches are accomplishing.
Yeah, Vic Schaefer, he was at Mississippi State, and he's back in I think he's from Texas, so he's coaching Texas now. They're a powerhouse with him in command. He recruits very well. Okay, he coaches his team to championship contention situations, and so I think that Texas, they're on the brink of maybe they can get a championship this year. Madison Booker, outstanding player, probably the player of the year in the Southeastern Conference. There's several in that league, but Madison Booker, an outstanding swing player, forward guard. So Texas has done very well. I think Tennessee, Donna, just to bring them up, they had a bad streak here, 7 losses in a row, I think it is. And I don't think that's ever happened in the 55 years they've been playing basketball at Tennessee. That's not happened. So Tennessee's on a slide, and the coach is trying to figure out her team. And at the end of the season here, it's late to be in that predicament, but they're having some difficulties there. So I imagine next year the seat's going to be pretty hot for her. And they probably make the tournament, I believe, but having a slide, I don't know if that's ever happened. You lose 7 or 8 games in a row right at the end and then still make the tournament. So that would be something new, but you have to watch Tennessee women's basketball and their coach next year to see what happens. But that's something that caught everybody's attention, I think, to have a program like Tennessee, one of the Blue Bloods of women's basketball.
Absolutely. Let's go into a commercial break. Half the show already over. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Good afternoon, Sunshine. Medical Minute brought to you by Dr. Chuck with Lakeland's Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. So what is the Beamer? Okay, now the Beamer uses very gentle pulse to electromagnetic signals. This will stimulate healthy muscles and it supports the temporary blood flow. Now let's talk Beamer and circulation support. Now the Beamer gently supports natural circulation in healthy muscles. Now that's what I call natural health. Thank you so much for watching your Medical Minute, brought to you by Dr. Chuck. You know who he's with. He's with Lakeland's Chiropractic, where an ounce of prevention is worth what? A pound of cure. I hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the afternoon. You take care.
Lowe's knows that the projects you build in spring are the ones you can't wait to share. It's why we make sure you have our best deals with My Lowe's Rewards, and that you get help from people who've
been there,
done that.
Try this.
This spring, we'll help you build something rewarding. Hey, Stan.
What's up? I made you something.
Oh, thank you.
And I got something for you. You grew these? Of course.
Lowe's knows how to help you spring.
Good afternoon, Sunshine. Your Realtor Moment is brought to you by Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams of Greenwood, helping families buy and sell with confidence right here in the Lakelands. Now, if you're thinking about selling, don't automatically start renovating. Many sellers overspend on updates buyers don't even value. So before you touch a thing, talk with your local market expert who knows exactly what buyers are looking for right now. Jenny can help you price it, prep it smart, and market it professionally across multiple platforms. For a free consultation, call Jenny Ferguson today and let your next move be your best move. Thank you so much for watching your Realtor Moment, brought to you by Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams of Greenwood, helping families buy and sell with confidence right here in the Lakelands. Have a super duper awesome blessed day. Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television, Radio, and Podcast Talk Show. Again, thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as we go home with you in the afternoons. I wanted to ask you before we get into football, and this is about Clemson and South Carolina. You know, you got a bunch of fans here. I don't know if you know that, AP. People are listening.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, glad to have a new audience there in South Carolina. Very rabid, loyal fans.
Oh, yeah. They make me think of it. I didn't think you'd get worse than Alabama and Auburn, but you can't. So what's going on? Their world of basketball, a few points you might want to say about them.
Yeah, you know, the South Carolina men's team is not done very well this year. They're in the bottom echelon of that conference, the men on the men's side, but the women we know are national championship caliber. Clemson, the men, done pretty well. The women, I'm not positive about them, Donna, but I just wanted to touch base one more thing about, you mentioned coaches. I'd just like to mention Shea Ralph of Vanderbilt, the women's coach, to have them in the top 10 and contending for, you know, the league championship and reaching the top 10 in women's basketball. That she's come a long way. You know, Vanderbilt used to have a good team, but they had a lull there, and they brought her on board, and she's really turned that program around. Seems like all the coaches at Vanderbilt, they've got some gold dust or something sprinkled on them lately. They've been just performing so well with their teams.
I think we're going to see more out of them, too. I think they're going to be even better next year.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little football. Anything you've heard, anything out there on the waves about any changes?
Yeah, you know, Donna, good thing you brought this up. You know, they had a conference in Washington last week, brought in some people, round table, around 50 people, former coaches, TV executives, former player that I saw, Charlie Ward, was there from Florida State, the Heisman Trophy winner, played football and basketball at Florida State, and played professional basketball with the New York Knicks primarily. But Donna, I think the tone of the meeting was kind of threw me off to some degree, where they're mentioning maybe reverting back. But Donna, when you start paying players, we're not turning away from paying players. That's still going to be happening. I don't think you could get that toothpaste back in the dispenser. And this has been coming for about 50 years now. And they fought it for so long, and now the players have some advantage. And I don't mind you're discussing the ramifications and things that you'd like to maybe put parameters around that are happening right now, but you need to have players on that panel, because coaches, although they tell you they're for the player, coaches are number one. They want to control. They're looking for control.
That's right.
And when they mention we want to cap the players, you never hear them say we want to cap the coaches.
It works both ways, right?
Right. So my thing is, you're saying that it's not sustainable, the system of paying players an infinite amount of money. There's no budget and there's no cap, but the coach is a big variable in that equation of winning. So if you're going to cap the players and say, well, we don't want a school buying every player, and they can't, because there's only so many scholarships on that each school can have per year. A coach is a big variable, and why not cap the coach? I mean, I'll just use the example because Kirby Smart is the highest paid, I think, at $13 million. Not every school is paying or has the capability to pay a coach $13 million, but yet that's an advantage for Georgia to be able to pay him. And there's plenty of schools that can pay $13 million if they so desire, especially in the SEC, Big Ten, those types of conferences. But I say, you're going to cap the players, let's cap the coaches too. But on that panel, you didn't have any current players on that panel, and you're discussing going backwards. Well, America, you're supposed to be looking forward. We're not going backwards at all in anything in America. Hopefully, we're trying to go forward. But I just thought that it was a nice showpiece, but I don't think much is going to get done. They spoke of executive orders, and we all know executive order, Donna, that doesn't mean anything, because that could be challenged. That could be challenged in court. It's not law. It's not law.
Well, and there can be some jealousy between the players and the coaches, and it all comes down to money. I'm going to equate this to the business world. I was in the corporate world, and so I had a manager, and so I handled the government and corporate account, so you could call me a salesperson. I wound up making more money than he did, and I liked it, and I didn't have – I would rather be the player than the coach. I'll just put it to you that way. You've got more flexibility about your time as well. I know I did. I was able to go see my son's football games because I was a sales rep.
Right.
But it's all in the strategy of it. And the coach has got to feel like they're in power, though. So there's a thin line that you can cross.
Yeah. That's always that tendency that you hear coaches, we're all for paying players, but you hear most of them, they discussing a cap.
Yeah.
And I say to myself, well, why should a player be capped? You're not capped. Nobody's capping your money. Why should a player be capped? And then they say it's not sustainable. My thing is, okay, if XYZ schools spend all their money, fine, that's their choice. Then they won't. The coming years, they're going to have to retreat and not be able to get certain players. But that's your choice to spend all your money. But my thing is, if all the schools are spending money, then who has the advantage? You're all spending money, and you're saying it's not sustainable. Well, if you spend all your money in these next 4 or 5 years, everybody's in the same position. So you have limited funding. But but they want to have a cap, and that's fine. If you want to have a cap, like I say, you want to cap, let's cap everybody. ADs, let's cap the athletic departments. Let's do all types of things in capping, if that's what you really want. Because why should a player be capped?
Well, in any organization, the sales reps are not capped. I mean, your earnings are just, you could make more than the CEO.
Right. So this is the first time in history the players have had an advantage. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, what you want to do? We want to stop that advantage. Mm-hmm. For like I say, for 50 years, I use 50 years as the bench, but it's even longer. The NCAA fought, and the schools fought about paying the players. They didn't want to pay them. But now that they're paying them, they're whining.
Can't go
they're whining about paying the players. Well, You knew this was coming, and now you're looking to Washington. Everybody else is running from Washington. Now you're running to Washington. It doesn't sound logical to me. But you had all this time to do something as a group, the NCAA, and the NCAA is the membership. When I say the NCAA, I'm talking about every school in the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, all these conferences across the country, and every single sport. You had all these years, half a century, to come up with something, and you're whining and you're fumbling, and you can't come up with a plan to satisfy people. And it befuddles me that the public, they do not like the players being paid. But that's been the history of the public. Ever since I've been following sports, since I was 10 years old, when free agency happened in professional sports, they were mad. They didn't like the player making the money. I'm thinking, wait a minute. If the player's not making the money, you mean to tell me you want more to go to the owner who's already a millionaire? I don't understand why you want money to go to the millionaire and the player who had to take a second job when they're competing in the NFL. He had to take a second job, a lot of those people, in, let's say, the 70s. Besides playing football, in the offseason, you're selling insurance or whatever you're doing.
Well, the whole organization needs to have a team spirit, and that's everybody working together.
Yeah. So, but I still don't understand why the public does not like the fact that the players are making money. And then the other thing is, if I have a team that's been mediocre for 50 years, and you're telling me we can go get the quarterback at the number one school, they might come to our school if we pay them the right money. Why would I be upset? Why, if I'm a fan of that school, you say you're a fan of that school, you don't want your school to get better? Why? What's the reason? Does it, if you go to the game and sit in your seat, you don't have to contribute the millions. There's some other millionaire to contribute the money. Why are you mad that the player is getting paid and your team is getting better and you're able to be happy about your team winning? I don't understand that dynamic at all, Donna. I don't understand it.
Well, there are people that, I'm okay with the players making money. I really do. It's the transfer portal that bothers me.
Yeah. My thing with the transfer portal is coaches move every year. This used to be the scenario, Donna. It's probably still is. There was a signing day in the first Wednesday in February. The person would be telling you, yeah, we're family. The assistant coach, he's recruiting you. We're family. You sign on Wednesday. That coach who recruited you for 2 years, he's gone. So you're thinking, wait a minute, you said I was family. My family just took off, the next day. So coaches move all the time and people move in athletic departments all the time. I don't mind the players moving from year to year. That's part of it now, like I said. And, this is professional, and that's what professional people can do. They can move for better opportunities, whether it's perceived or real. They can move, and I'm fine.
I'm good with that too. AP, how can folks find your other show, AP As We See It?
Oh, yeah, it's on our YouTube channel. Thank you for bringing it up, down at AP As We See It. And we put the links to our weekly episode on Facebook, Instagram, and X account. And then it's archived on Spotify. That we put that on Spotify every week. And everything that I do, Donna, people can find all those interviews on our YouTube channel at AP As We See It. And then it's on my social media platforms for the show, and also at AP Steadham, my personal one. And Donna, I'll be at an event this Saturday, the Maxwell Award, and that will be in Atlanta, Georgia. It was an organization that was in Philadelphia for 80 years or so. We'll be there, and they'll have the College Player of the Year, Professional Player of the Year, the Coach of the Year on the college level and the professional level. There'll be former Maxwell Award winners. And Maxwell, Donna, it's similar to, it's a national award, a national award. So the player can come from any school, any of the FBS level schools, 130 plus schools, but it'll be Fernando Mendoza, the national championship quarterback from Indiana. And then on the pro side, I believe it's Drake May, who was the quarterback for the New England Patriots. He led his team to the Super Bowl. So we'll be seeing, and I think Kurt Signetti on the college side for the coach. And I think it might be the Seattle coach for on the pro side, but I can't recall exactly, but I'll be there this Saturday. So we'll have some pictures at minimum of that event. And it's always fun to meet with those people. Mark Wolpert is the leader in charge of the Maxwell Award. So we'll get a chance to visit with him.
There you go. Well, you have a lot of fun. And by the way, guys, thank you so much for watching the show. We definitely appreciate that. And we'll see you next time around.